Hi, welcome to EOtv. I'm Randall Mauricio.
And I'm Terry Apostle. We're here with your full EOtv webcast.
Situation for you. You're a successful entrepreneur with expertise in many areas of business and thinking about writing a book to share your experiences.
But with so many publishing houses, bookstores, and online retailers out there, you don't quite know where to start.
If that sounds familiar, then you've picked the perfect day to tune into EOtv.
That's right. On today's episode, we'll give you the tools to publish your own book, or at least the advice to get you started.
And we'll hear from Kevin Daum, an EO New York member and writer on the quest to becoming a New York Times best-selling author.
We'll also talk to Clint Greenleaf, an EO Austin member and owner of the Greenleaf Book Group, who will challenge your current expectations and help you set the right goals for putting your story on the market.
So let's get started already.
As EO New York member, Smart Business Magazine columnist, and writer of Roar, Get Heard in the Sales and Marketing Jungle, Kevin Daum has made many strides in his journey to becoming a New York Times best-selling author. And his journey is where our book publishing episode begins. Take a look.
The good news is we've provided a methodology that's very effective for dealing with the different kinds of buyers. That's actually what ROAR stands for. It's an acronym. R stands for recognize who you're dealing with. O stands for observe from their perspective. A, acknowledge who you're dealing with. And R, resolve their issues. So it's funny how the book came about. I was speaking on the subjects of how difficult it was for companies to market in this environment. And I was trying to figure out how to make the speech entertaining and memorable. And I was sitting in the winter in Connecticut and started writing the information and started doing it as a story, and I ended up writing 9 chapters in 9 days. We sent it out, and EOers have just been going nuts over it. Business people have been going nuts over it, and we got a great deal with Wiley in October, and now the book's coming out in April, and we've been marketing a storm. Once we got the Wiley deal, I realized that this was the big leagues. Wiley's the biggest publisher, and I've got tremendous connections that I've built through my relationships in EO, and I realized never was there a better chance to actually go get the New York Times bestseller. And I've put together an entire marketing program, and I've been sharing transparently how to market towards a New York Times bestseller, how to go through the entire book process. And I blog about that every week so that hopefully other EOers, other people who are trying to become experts can learn from my successes and, of course, learn from my failures, which is the best way to learn.
Kevin Daum has a unique strategy for marketing his book and is clearly on the way to meeting his goals. But he's not the only EO member or entrepreneur seeking success in the book industry. In fact, Clint Greenleaf, owner of Greenleaf Book Group in Austin, Texas, explains that 2,000 new books are released into the market every day. He says the first step to getting your book published is finding out why you even want a book in the first place.
Being in publishing, I get the question a lot, how do I get a book done? And before we even begin to talk about that, let's ask why you actually want a book. And if your answer is just because someone told me I needed a book, that's garbage. I don't want that answer at all. You need to be able to give a much better explanation of why you want a book. Is it to manage your business better? Is it to grow your business? Is it to become a famous New York Times best-selling author? All those goals, including even making a ton of money, can be valuable if you understand how you get there. The reality is, though, that most books fail miserably. There's 2,000 books a day that are released into the market. And if you just imagine you're going to write a book, and a few minutes later you're going to be a bestseller, you're going to make tons of money, and you can sell your business and retire into Hawaii or Barbados, it's probably not going to happen. Now, if instead you look at a book and say your real goals are to promote your business, you're not looking to make a whole lot of money, you're just looking to be able to have a beautiful business card, well, that's a much more reasonable goal. And if your goal is just to tell a story about a family vacation and you want to have 10 copies of the book to give away to family and cousins, that's fine too. But every different goal you have has a different set of skills that you need and a different set of companies that you need to be able to do it. In order to get a New York Times bestseller, you need to spend a whole lot of time and, frankly, a whole lot of money in order to market the book, get the pre-sales out there, and really be able to become a huge bestseller. In most cases, most entrepreneurs are not really interested in that much commitment, and they're not really that interested in spending that much time and energy and, frankly, money in the process. Usually what we find is someone who's committed to having a good book, and they want it to be attractive, but they're not necessarily willing to spend that much money or that much energy in the process. There's 4 basic options for publishing a book. There's traditional publishing, which most everyone thinks of when they think of publishing. That's Random House, Simon & Schuster, HarperCollins, etc. And in those models, it's kind of like a VC-funded model. What you're going to do is you're going to give your rights to another publisher, and they're going to then take your material, sell it, and give you a small royalty on the proceeds of it. Very little capital investment. Usually you get great quality and great distribution, but you've given up all your rights to the model. On the other side, there's self-publishing, which is much more a bootstrapping type model, where you're the general contractor. You're going to go ahead and look for a cover designer, a printer, an editor, and all the pieces and try and find your own distribution. That's a much more difficult model to do. Somewhere in between that is the Greenleaf Book Group model. You just get to keep all the rights, but they get to have a beautiful distribution and great, wonderful quality of their product as well. And then I guess the fourth option out there is this new technology, which is the print-on-demand and ebook world. We've found that is growing hugely. It's growing at about 400% a year, but it's still only about 3% of the book market right now. Ebooks are going to be really big. I don't think the current Kindle or the current iPad is going to be that big of a deal, but long term, when it comes out, iPad 6 or Kindle 6 is going to be fantastic and will make ebooks a lot better and a lot easier to read. In the traditional publishing model, an author can expect to get an advance of between $5,000 and $10,000 and a royalty of about 7%. A lot of people expect that they can just get their book in the stores. And in some cases, you might be able to get your books into your local Barnes & Noble or local independent bookstore, no matter the quality of the book and no matter actually the sales potential for it, if you know the people at the store. But in order to really get a good book in bookstores, remember there's 2,000 books a day that are released in the market. You have to have something new, compelling, different, and really viable for everyone to be able to understand the value and proposition for this book. So for someone like Random House or for Greenleaf Book Group to be able to take a book on, we all accept about 5 to maybe as much as 10%, depending on who's doing this, of the books that are submitted. But most books get rejected because they don't have the big sales potential that is available to a big name author. So if you really want to have that big book that's going to be really, really good, that's great. But make sure you're new, you're different, and you're willing to spend the time and the energy on marketing the book as well.
Well, I hope Clint provided enough information to get you started, but stay tuned for the next full-length episode of EOtv webcast here on April 26th.
And then we'll hear from John Cador, an author of several books published through McGraw-Hill. We'll share his experiences. Look forward to it.
And we'll finish off this topic with tips from one of McGraw-Hill's editors.
And of course, if you have any questions about publishing or have a story to share with us, make sure you visit us at eonetwork.tv. You can make comments on all of our EOtv videos. And of course, we'd love to hear from you.
And speaking of hearing from people, Randall, we'd love to hear your motivational thought.
As would you. Success is the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out.
Hey, speaking of repetition, same time, same place next week, there will be a brand new tip of the week waiting for you.
So we'll see you. Same time, same place. Makes sense, right?
Yeah.